Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome along Monday night, 8 p.m. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns. Myself, Phil Bars and Dan Simpson are here for the next few hours to keep you up to date, talk about all things darts. There's plenty going on as always. Dan, how we doing, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm very good. I tell you what, it's by the skin of my teeth that I've made it on this show today, simply because I reckon I've forgotten at least 11 times today that it's a Monday. Like my brain, with the bank holiday, if you don't do anything for a bank holiday, which I haven't done, like we've got a really busy couple of months in the Simpson household with people doing GCSEs and birthdays and things like that coming up. So like we had a really quiet bank holiday, which has meant that at least 10 times today I've convinced myself it's Sunday, and I've had to keep setting alarms on devices to be like, no, Dad, it's Monday. You need to make sure you get on the show. But yeah, it's good. It's a stressful, very stressful weekend. Stressful weekend to be a Newcastle fan. The weather's a bit crap. It keeps raining, but there's been an awful lot. I mean, tell you what, we are relentlessly spoilt for darts, aren't we? Like it's even when you think, there's not much, but yeah, we get a really interesting Euro tour. We get a bit of non-playing news from around the world of darts. We know that we get announcements from referees. It's all fun, isn't it? How's everything all the way down there? How are you doing, mate?
Okay, yeah, busy weekend. Obviously, streaming the Euro Tour, which is always busy, but exciting. The streams are just superb. Everyone gets involved in the chat room and so on, and it's been good. It was a good Euro Tour. The Littler household watching along Monday night on the big TV with the Chinese.
Jealous again.
Loving that.
Food envy like you would not believe.
Yeah. Chat room is rammed already. Malachi's in. Dal, how are we doing? Dal, I'll start your question in a minute. So once we've done the hello, so I know where it is. Owen is in. Jonathan, K-Days, Marcus, Warren, Shelty, Stephen, Great Showman, Mark, Brad, Tom, Ed. I tell you what, it's rammed. Adam, how are we doing? Latest suspect, Chris, how we do? Brandon.
Busy again, isn't it?
Rob and Rob. It's absolutely huge.
35 degrees in Florida. And I happen to know that that's true because I spoke to my mum about 4 hours ago, who is currently in Florida. And the headline of that conversation was, "It is 35 degrees." They've had to go shopping today in somewhere that's air conditioned just to keep out of it.
All I'll say is that is not ginger-friendly weather.
No, it's absolutely not.
That is not what we want.
Not bald blokes, mate. Honest, like you can already see that. I didn't even see in this light. I've already started my annual summer colour change on my skull from the sun.
Oh, it's raining Premier League here.
It's raining Champions League up here, mate.
How are we doing, Wayne? Look, it's rammed as always. But look, like we say, always a busy time in darts. And let's start with the referee announcement. Look, I knew this was coming. I didn't know when, but I knew George was winding down. You can see that, but it was George Noble's last Euro Tour event in Rosmalen at the weekend, and the World Championships in January. I would presume he's going to do the final. That's normally how it works.
This is the way.
Some people know it's their last one. Some people didn't at the time. But,
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, it's all very well getting it if you're told in advance, isn't it? It's when it's sprung upon you afterwards.
Look, it's a real changing of the guard, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But for me, we are losing the greatest official darts referee. I say official because there are obviously other referees around the country, but George is the greatest professional referee I think the sport has had, and walking away at the top as well. I think that's quite a thing, because we've seen other referees go perhaps when they were a few years past their best, but going out right at the top. But we are losing the great.
Yeah, I think it's only. I mean, you sort of, and he's like, there's a lot of people around, big names around sport that aren't players, that you end up taking them for granted a little bit because they're sort of always there, and it's only when, so it prompted me to, like, obviously with the announcement this week, to start just like going and having a look and sort of really understanding it, or reminding myself a little bit about the sort of career that he's had, and it's bonkers. Like, it's completely mad. Like, the fact when he was in the BDO, he officiated every single final from 1995 to 2007. Like, that's mad. Like, the fact that, like, from 1995 to 2000, and therefore, in terms of someone where when you see things replayed, like when we see footage of things, like he has been in so many, like, the first referee to the 2 9-darters in one match between Taylor and Wade in the Premier League 2010. So he refereed that game as well.
He did both Gezzy's 9-darters in Belfast.
Yeah, it's honestly, there are so many like massive highlight darts moments that will be repeated forever. That because he's been so consistent, like I say, how in what other sport could you have someone refereeing a world championship every year in the final from 1995 to 2007? Like, it's an outrageous run that before he came over to the PDC. And yeah, really, really impressive. Very good. I think, I mean, I don't know how old George is. But like I have always said, like, I don't understand why anybody would work a day longer than they had to if they were financially stable and comfortable. Like, if you have the money to retire and maintain the lifestyle that you want, fucking hell, do it. You might get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like, I don't know why anybody wouldn't. Like, hopefully he's comfortable and he can enjoy what extra time he will have, and he'll probably still, I'm sure that there'll be a few quid to be earned here and there on the sort of exhibition front. I know he might have other interests as well. I'll happily ghostwrite him a book. There's loads of good. There'll be extra opportunities, but I think he also sees as well. The sport is growing and changing. There are a queue of people that will be desperate to put themselves in a position for that role, or even a little bit of that role. But yeah, really, like, it's tough to say enough good things, isn't it? He's done a really good job. Represents the sport really well, like off the stage as well. Yeah, really, really, really top chap.
Yeah, someone said, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember George. I can't remember him ever making a mistake, ever. Is the thing, and it's that someone will probably be able to dig one out from somewhere, but just an incredible referee to going out on the Euro Tour and calling matey out in the front row and so on, and like, one more and you're out type thing. It was like, don't mess with Noble, and so on, and look, just an absolute glittering referee career, which is great. And look, we've lost some incredible referees over the last 10 years and so on, and George is the last of that crop. Do you know what I mean? Where obviously Kirk's been doing it a while, but he was like the first of the new school and so on. So it's quite sad when he walks out of Ali Pali on the 3rd or 4th of January, whatever the fuck date the final is going to be, for the last time, and we won't see George on a stage again. Yeah,
it's a shame, and I mean, again, I'm gonna make an assumption that that's the last time we'll see him on a stage in the PDC in a ranked event. I'm sure he will pop up with a microphone in his hand elsewhere, a semi-regular basis.
People say that. I someone who was it? Matthew said fully retired. I might be wrong. I don't expect to see George doing what Russ does. I think once the World Final's done, that's it. The microphone will go away.
You think?
I might be wrong, but I don't see I don't see George doing what Russ does. And there was a couple of questions in there, like who's next? I will be extremely disappointed, and if he doesn't get the gig to start with, I will make my feelings known. The next one should be Owen Binks, in my opinion.
That relies on everything being a meritocracy, though, doesn't it? And the very best person getting the job because they are the best person at doing it. And there are people who will say that regardless of who and how talented somebody is and what work they put in, there will be people that want to see a different representation in that environment. And for me, like everything else in life, it should be the best person for the job, whoever's best at it, whoever is the person who is most appropriate and can do the best job. But there will be people. I think George himself has made a couple of comments that have already set set people off speculating that it could be a non-English or someone whose native language isn't English, or it could be a female referee or somebody else. So we'll see. It'd be interesting. I'm still not convinced that it's not sort of one person. I don't know whether it needs to be a bit of. I'm not sure.
Yeah, how are we doing? Crowbar over on Twitch. Got some Twitch people in the chat room tonight, which is good. Our multi streaming is working. So welcome along.
Am I a Twitcher now as well? Look at me. My kids will be dead proud. Me on Twitch.
How are we doing? Owen, hope you are good. I will see what we can do with that. We'll see if we can get one with George. The German lad, is he ready for TV darts? I don't know. Where Owen, we've seen him on the Super Series. He's done a couple of games at Minehead on stage 2. I having worked with Owen, his brain and numbers works like no one else I have ever seen before in my life.
I think you'll be very hard pushed for somebody to not think that he should definitely be the next in line. The question will just be as to whether or not that is what the PDC wants to present. They might want some diversity between their refereeing personnel.
Quite possibly, yeah. I can't. My apologies. I don't know who it was. Someone asked, "Are Mount Rushmore of darts referees?" Oh, great question. See, the problem is, I'm friends with them, so this is going to upset people. However, we've never shied away on this show. For me, George, number 1, Bruce. Number 2, Kirk, number 3, and number 4's tough because you're probably going to have to put Russ in there because of the iconicness of that voice, even though it's Marmite. It doesn't. Not everyone likes it, but because Russ is so recognisable, you'd have to. For me, he'd have to go in there.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Russ, George, and Bevins are in there, and then it depends on probably who you want to pluck. It's a bit of what you like from the BDO era. I think I think in terms of keeping it sort of fairness and you've maybe got to look a bit further back. Don't know. Fitzmaurice probably.
Yeah, it's interesting. I disagree, Brad. For me, George is the greatest ever for me. But no, look, it was I wasn't surprised at the news, but look, we are losing one of the greats. But it's been great to have George referee for 3 decades at the highest level. Right, where are we going next? Do we want to go? Let's do the European tour first of all. And I'm going to get the negative out the way first, and the elephant in the room. The Dutch crowd at the weekend were brilliant in spells, and in other spells they were absolutely diabolical, horrific.
I think it's the worst I've seen.
At least the German and Belgian fans only boo players when they're playing a German or a Belgian. The Dutch took it to a new level and booed everyone, including Dutch.
It was like a pantomime. Well, it was like a pantomime, and it had clearly become like it had become more important to them than the matches they were watching. I think it is acting the twat, and I think. Yeah, like the whistling was completely out of control. The reaction for strange things, the booing, the celebrating missed doubles, weird. But then they were great for walk-ons. Like there was certainly some atmosphere in there. It just seemed to be channeled in the wrong direction. It was as if the atmosphere was superb, but then it was just channeled in sort of the wrong direction, really. Not really. I don't know, but then I don't know. You've paid it's the whistling. It's that sort of shite that which we've talked about loads and loads of times before. But then I've been a proponent constantly of see somebody whistling, grab hold of them by the feet and drag them out. That I accept is an awful lot harder if 900 people are doing it. Like you are outnumbered somewhat. Which is, maybe there's some different, there's some safety in numbers for the idiots, but no, it was a poor do. But it'll continue to sort of fly under the radar, I think, whilst it's not on Sky Sports. It's not on Sky Sports, and therefore it will fly under the radar.
Social media attention that like it has before because of
I just think, and I know that and I appreciate there'll be a lot in the chat room that won't want to hear this. A lot of people don't give a shit. Like we take it seriously, right? And I know because they spend it, and I love them for it. I desperately do. Like there are people in the chat room who love darts so much that they want to come and listen to us talk about it, even when there's no darts on. But most people, like when I talk to people, like friends of mine, about that, and I'll mention it, and they'll say to me like, "Fucking hell, Dan! Like, go to a football match, and there's 1,000 people just calling a bloke every time he goes to take a corner. Like, watch a bloke go and take a corner, and just watch the twats abuse he gets off everybody around him." And I think, yeah, it's just live sport, isn't it? And like maybe we are a bit precious because it's our sport and it's an individual sport, and those things that can put someone off and things like that, we don't like to see, because we want to see the purest form of the sport that we can get. Most people don't give a shit. They want to be entertained. And they find some of that mildly entertaining. And I think the PDC they've got quite a broad view, and they understand how to do things for us, and they understand how to do things for like the general people who are watching darts in the pub as well. So I don't think we're going to see a big change. If anything, I think it'll get more rambunctious and rowdy.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It was kind of mad. Look, that's the elephant in the room. That's the shit bit. Like I say, that for Dirk's walk on, I thought the roof was going to come off the place, and things like that. So yes, it was double edged because it was electric in one point. But some big stories from the weekend. First of all, Johnny Clayton, the ferret, back in the winner's circle. and starting to look like the ferret of old. Now, he had lots of new gadgets he was playing with at the weekend that my eagle eye noticed. He was testing a lot of new stuff on. So when he played on Saturday, I messaged him straight away with a screenshot, and I sent him a screenshot saying, I spy lots of new gear here. He messaged me back, you miss absolutely nothing, do you, Bars?
Well, see, I got a little bit excited. I genuinely got a little bit excited because, I mean, I throw with a set of Johnny Clayton darts. So whenever there is something going on in the world of Johnny Clayton tinkering, I get a little bit excited because, of course, I am only one slight issue with the right equipment away from a tour card. Obviously, the equipment's not me, obviously. So all I need Johnny to do is bring out the right set for me, and then I'll be there. It'll change my life.
Yeah. So yeah, but look, he played well. It's 106 average to beat Danny Knopp at 6'4".
I'll tell you what I think he did. And I know just before you go into it, I think he, in the way that he worked his way through that tournament to the victory, he sort of won in all the ways that you need to win. And he did all the different things that you need to do in order to sort of go and pick something up. And I think it was absolutely like what he needed. You know, we saw like a really sort of commanding start, and then the monster average against Danny Nopper, and then a really tightly contested one against Ross Smith, where he probably wasn't the favourite before the match potentially, and like then he goes and beats Luke Humphreys nearly at the 9 dart, and it just had everything. Like, and that's what like we're used to seeing from Johnny, like a player where he's at it can do anything. Like he can come from behind and he doesn't know that he's beat, or he can completely bash someone up and blow them away. He can get dragged into a dogfight and exchange 6 breaks a hold and get like, we can see it all from Johnny. And that's what we saw. That's like the real Johnny Clayton, is all of those things, all those ways to win. I thought it was a really, really good weekend for him.
Well, the final, that average of 98, 69 doesn't do it justice because he was 4-1 down and not playing particularly well. The average was low 80s, and it looked like Nico Springer was going to walk away with it. And then all of a sudden, he found something. 4-2, 4-3, 4-all. And he was pinging it, and he got the average up to just under a ton. So that doesn't do justice how good that spell was.
No, and that's it. That's what I was saying. You know, those different ways of winning. You know, 3-0 down he was, then 4-1 down, then 5-2 down, and like that. It's that Johnny Clayton who doesn't know his beat that can turn it in and start popping those 140s relentlessly. But like I said, over the course of the weekend, I thought he won in all the ways that you can win. Like he was really dominant with massive averages, and then he was like steady, professional, like work your way into the tournament. He came from behind. He like brought out fireworks against the world number one. I thought it was about as good a performance, I think, as certainly as we've seen this year. To get through, when I look at, you know, the winners that we've had this year so far in those Euro Tour events. So Gary Anderson's won one, Littler, Aspinall, Bunting, Schindler, and miraculously somehow Michael van Gerwen won one as well. I think it's the best performance that we've seen yet in terms of, you know, just a player showing us themselves as a dart player. Over a weekend, I thought it was absolutely top draw. It makes me very excited. And I tell you what, if he can start replicating that, like, and he can start doing that regularly, like the weekend moved him up to number 5 in the world. Like we were just talking the other day about that, on the tour card race and how far that Rob Cross is potentially gonna fall down that. Like Johnny Clayton is now like within 20 grand of fourth in the world in the tour card race and a Premier League spot. Like that's coming back. And if he's on the up, every fucker else is on the right, barring the Lukes, everyone else is on the way down at the minute, form wise.
I'd put Gary on the way up as well. I think at the moment.
Sorry, I was talking top 10. Like I was talking like your Premier League contenders, top 10 players. Once you start to look across that and you say, well, who's on the up and who's on the down? Van Gerwen, Bunting, Cross, Doby, Aspinall, arguably, is either way. Again, Price up and down. But like, if Johnny can just start clipping, he'll fly through there. He'll be fourth in the world by the new year.
Yeah. I tell you what, we've got loads in. How are we doing, William? Hope you are good from across the pond. We've got Yankee Clippers in as well. Team USA. We are flying the flag for the States here today on the live lounge. I hope you're getting to. Hope you're going to be in New York and get to MSG in June. It'll be good. Doubletree. We expect George to do the final. Yeah. But yeah, look, that was Johnny. The other one was the finalist. Nico Springer. Ooh. We've been talking about him for a while, but this weekend, he arrived. We'd seen him do it for a few games here and there, then have a bit of an off one. But this weekend, Nico Springer arrived as Germany's next big hope and potentially next big superstar.
Yeah, I mean, the breakout star. I think he's one of these players, isn't he, where he has been, by those in the know, talked about for quite some time. And he's been talked about, like, and I mean this in a really positive way, like he's been talked about the way that we hear people talking about Wessel Nijman and the way we hear people talk about Jan van Veen. And like, I thought it was really interesting that, I mean, we'll talk a lot about Nico Springer, but like he also had very impressive victories over fellow like young rising stars, like the Petresco game, Wessel Nijman as well. Like it that Euro tour as well. I took so much. Like if you were, and I have been a little bit this year, like outside of the Lukes, a little bit concerned about that the levels that players keeping focused, interested, the level just dropping off a little bit, people struggling to maintain form that got them to places. But then like this, honestly, this Euro tour, it really like it gave me a proper boost because I just obviously we talked about Johnny, but then the performances from a number of the younger players was absolutely phenomenal. And again, like you look at the players that he's moved his way through. Like these aren't mugs. Watamina in the opening round. That's a horrible opening round game for Nico Springer. That like Jermaine Watamina has made a very, very solid habit of winning first round games on Euro tours. Like that's how he's sort of getting by on tour at the minute. Is he just keeps winning in the first round of the Euro tour. And it's Stephen Bunting. We don't need to talk about Martin Schindler. I thought that was a really like commanding performance, against the number one German, and he's gone and he's bashed him up 6-2, average just shy of 103. Really impressive. And then again, working his way through Petresco and Nijman, and like, let's be honest, he's not done a great deal wrong in the final. Like he's played well. He's just been done by the ferret in a top level. But yeah, really exciting, and I think we're going to have to keep including him when we talk about, the rising stars. And I saw something on, I'll say Twitter because I don't really have any of the others, and I don't really bother much with that. But of somebody doing like fictitious Premier League lineups in 5, 6, 7 years time. And then you look at some of the talent in there, and think, Jesus, yeah, he could get there. Like he could get, and then we know there's an appetite in Germany for darts. But what it needs And I felt like we were on the cusp of it with that semi-final from Clemens, and then it never came to fruition because he just couldn't replicate it. He couldn't go and do anything else to back it up. We've seen glimpses from Schindler, but Springer, he could be the man to carry the torch. Like, somebody needs to keep the fire burning, to keep it pushing and growing and getting bigger. And he really could be the man. Really could. He's jumped up 20 places in the order of merit in a weekend, which is massive. I think he came in 93rd. He's sort of high 70s now, mid 70s. Monster. Really good. Huge
for him, which was good. Another question that I want to ask, and we were asking it over the weekend, and I'm still not sure or if the decision was right. That out of the 4 Premier League finalists, Luke Humphries was the only one to travel and play. The others decided to take it off to rest and so on. And although Luke hasn't won it, he's put in averages of 105, 104, 108, and lost with a 99. Now, do you think, or I suppose we won't know till Thursday, 1, would you have gone? And 2, do you think the performances he put in has given him the confidence that he wanted?
Short answer to would I have gone, no. I'd have stopped home with the wife and kids. I wouldn't have gone. Then I look at the 3 players that didn't go, and I think, well, what could have happened? Well, Luke Littler could have gone. He could have travelled all the way there, could have played really well, and at the end of it, he'd have thought, well, it was really good, that. I tell you what, I'm capable of averaging 105. He knows that already, doesn't he? Like, he knows that. I don't think he learned. I don't think Luke Littler learns anything from going. I think he probably benefits more from having his entire focus on the Premier League and doing whatever he does to prepare. So I think that is probably the best decision for him, because I don't think he learns anything about his game or his form or anything like that from going. I think for Aspinall, I think for someone who's really, really struggled with their form as sort of, I'm not saying he hasn't fell over the line to get there, but it's one of the most underwhelming performances over a season for someone to make finals night. Like, he's really struggled and looked at times like he was a mile away from an elite player. He could have done more harm than good. He could have gone there, played absolute shite, averaged 91, got beat in the opening round and had to travel all the way back thinking, oh, shit, that was a bit rough, wasn't it? Maybe my form's not right. Maybe, and I know he won 2 nights, Chris, but there was nights, he was shit on the regular, and I don't think he'd deny that as well. Like, I think he was happily to say, I think Nathan's happy to say it. Like, there were weeks where he turned up and played absolute bobbins, but he's managed to get himself to the final. Gezzy, I think, I don't think he fancies it either way, does he? I'm surprised Luke Humphries went, if I'm honest. I didn't think any of them would go.
That's the question. But the performances that he put in, does he get the confidence that he wanted from going? Because he did play well.
Yeah, I probably, but I don't know if him winning is about his own confidence. I think it's as much about everybody else's confidence in themselves, and then if it's the pair of them 2 in the final again, which one of them goes bananas. One of them will, and it's just sometimes it's just timing, isn't it? Like, which one can catch it at the right moment. Nathan will push him, but I don't think he needs extra confidence. He shouldn't need a confidence boost ahead of meeting Nathan Aspinall. He should be pretty much, like, you'd like to think he's where he needs to be. But if he clearly felt like he needed to go. So let's hope he got what he wanted out of it, or what he needed out of it.
Yeah, it was good from him. Early on, there was a few surprise early exits shall we say, there were some good performances. I think the Euro Tour on a lot. I know I appreciate a lot of people still don't like the changes that were made, and I understand that. However, with those changes, the quality of first round games we are now getting improves the standard, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. There's no argument. There's no argument at all with that. We are definitely seeing better darts on these, at these events from the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those. Like you look down and the 6-5s, the first 4 6-5s. Cameron Menzies, Wesley Plaisir was a superb game to watch, as was Ryan Joyce and Jeffrey the Swan. Big Boris and Jan van Veen was mint, and Richie Edhouse and Kim Huybrechts, who didn't enjoy that. Yeah, like, so then you think, like, well, there's the 4, the 4 opening games in the bracket. They've all finished 6-5, and they were very, very watchable darts matches, some of them. And then you've got some people going, going a bit wild. People that maybe you didn't expect. People were struggling. We had Mario van den Hara. He was doing all right. 6-4 win with 100 average. It's quite impressive. Mickey Mansell beating Mike De Decker. Like, some big, decent games as well. Big upsets, but good darts to watch.
Yeah, and like I say, I fully appreciate that people won't like that because they don't like the changes, but it's making the European tours.
And again, it's like I said earlier, isn't there? The purists, those that live it and love it, they're always going to come out on the side of the purity of sport. Like, we want it to be as fair, as much of a meritocracy, and give everyone the opportunities. But the other side of it is that producing content and box office things that people want to go and watch and are willing to buy tickets for and are willing to pay a subscription to watch on their televisions. And at the minute, the Euro Tour is doing that because it's producing some very, very watchable darts.
Yeah, completely. It was just good. The whole European tour is just flourishing at the moment, and off the back of that, there was some people. Look, until he won it, Johnny Clayton was outside. Look, now he's safe, but at the moment, Rob Cross not going to Dortmund. Jermaine Watamina, the final, he played Richie Edhouse in the final. They're 32 and 33. It's only on Campback. The Czech reigning champion is in. Ratajski outside. O'Connor. Lugman. There's some big names outside. Chris Dobie.
Oh, yeah, Chris Dobie's a mile away.
He's $7,000 off qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, now the thing is, like, with the likes of Cross and Dobie, is you think, well, they can just make their own. And you do think, oh, well, they'll bridge that gap. They'll nick $7,000 somewhere, because a lot of those lads above them won't be picking up European Tour money on the regular, and there's still quite a lot of events to go. So I don't think it's panic stations for any of those players just yet. But it's about time just to get some money on the board, though. Like, because you don't want to be trying to run around at the end trying to grab hold of an extra few quid just to try and book your place in a ranking tournament. Like, those are players that expect to be at every single ranking tournament, and the pressure will come on them if they still end up sat outside. But yeah, there's a few just sat within hitting distance that I'd like to see make a bit of a run. We saw some good stuff from William O'Connor this week. He came in as an alternative. He wasn't supposed to be there, but did well. He created a potential opportunity for himself again. So yeah, it's going to get interesting. There's still a way to go. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still got seven Euro tours to go. So lots of time yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just going back to the point where you said they've got to nick hit money here and there. Look, are these players good enough to make up $7,000? Absolutely they are. However, the longer they leave it, the pressure becomes bigger, because the tournaments are running out. And if you lose again, the gap then goes up, then it's 8, then 9.5, and so on. That if they're not careful, it could spiral. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's it. It can spiral, which is why it needs to be got a grip of quickly. Like it needs getting hold of soon. Yeah. Whilst there's lots of time left, for everything really, qualifying for everything's got plenty of opportunities left. But if you start to slide, it can spiral. And if you start to get desperate, in needing money quick to qualify for things, then that gets a real struggle as well. And the pressure comes on and on. Ideally, what these players want is to be playing without pressure as much as possible. And you can create scenarios where that isn't the case. And for a few of them, it's creeping up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that it is getting a little bit close for calling at the moment. Right, speaking of calling, London is calling. The Premier League finals are this week. It's been a long 16 weeks. And I can say that wholeheartedly.
There's a lot of extra mileage on your machine, isn't there?
Oh, bless her.
Done some miles this year.
She's done some miles, full stop.
Well, yeah. Probably needs a break.
But London calling, the O2 is there. Sheffield, everything was pretty much done and dusted before we look ahead to the O2. Luke put an incredible performance in 114.37 and a 6-1 win over Stephen Bunting. But of course, like Luke does, he set the internet into meltdown with some new gear. He was trialing a new K-Flex. Again, we got the lowdown from it. It's a prototype K-Flex that spins to try and stop the deflections and bounce outs. And he's gone and won the night with him, isn't he? So,
oh man, that kid, what he can do for a salesman is just electric, and it's unbelievable. Just invent something, get him to use it for an hour, and then sell fucking loads of them.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely class. Absolutely class.
Yeah,
it does make me think that he could just chuck a handful of nails and he'd still be able to chuck them though, because it doesn't seem to make it like. And my understanding is that like he doesn't get a new setup and think, right, I'm going to use this setup on Thursday. I better spend 11 hours a day, Sunday through Wednesday, playing with it to make sure it's comfortable. I don't think that's happening at all. There's got to be something. There's got to be some level of acclimatization with a new setup.
Yeah. When he got to the practice room that night, what do these go like?
Yeah, I think he has a look at them and goes, yeah, fine. Yeah, Jesus, man, just imagine. But yeah, like very, very, very cool to be able to do that, especially for everyone who is a stakeholder in selling all that kit.
Yeah. Jamie says prototype over. I think that'll be released soon. Marketing masterclass. And Wayne says for the American viewers in the chat on the Peacock app Thursday there you go. So you got the times, you can go and have a look at them. Yeah, look, it was just remarkable. And then look, the only game that on paper meant something, Nathan Aspinall did an absolute job on MVG, and you could see the relief on Nathan's face once it was confirmed that even though he was super confident, the fact that he's missed out in dramatic fashion the way he has in the last 2 years, as he come off stage and the camera followed him and so on, you could see what that win meant. Yeah,
the Premier League it's been sort of a constant agony, I think, for Nathan. Even the final loss to Dozer, obviously missing out a couple of times on the on the Final Four in the way in which he did. Like we talked about it on the Fallout on Thursday, and I likened it to like going into his second game of the night against Luke. That symptom of people not being able to then go on and win a match after hitting a 9-darter. That release of adrenaline, that emotion, that everything else that's going on, especially when they've won 60 grand for it and all, or wherever they're picking up at the Palace, but or a 30 grand set of golden darts or something. But I think that release was monstrous to him, and I think it really showed in that second game when he came out. He knew there was a job to do that night, and he got it done. So that cements him into finals night, and I think his work was done from there.
We've got some news from HQ. You actually used him in the exhibition, so he did have a little bit of a practice with him.
He has chucked him before then. Good lad. Yeah.
And then Luke Humphries beat Rob Cross again because everyone was still talking about Littler's new equipment. I think went under the radar. I think Rob threw with a potential prototype dart as well. The grip looked a little bit different on his. Didn't work for him. He lost 6-4 to Luke Humphries, and then Gerwin Price managed to lose from 5-1 up. Chris Dobie has averaged nearly 109 to do it, but look. As an elite sportsman, from 5-1 up, you would expect to see that off. You'd expect to get match starts and take one of them in 6 legs on the spin.
You would. It lit the night up for me a little bit because obviously once Aspinall's got that win, the first game meant nothing. Once Aspinall got that win, Humphries against Cross was just a game of darts that happened. It was tough to get excited on Thursday, wasn't it? And then, that did at least get me off my, maybe not off my seat, but to the edge of my seat at least. Seeing that comeback was impressive. You're frustrating, I suppose, because a little bit too little, too late. Dobie's he's done a lot of good work. Towards this back end from week 11 through to 16. Winning a night, making that semi-final after that massive comeback to Gezi, runner-up the week before up in Aberdeen. He came out runner-up first night and then did all of his best work at the end, and he just sort of went missing for a stretch in the middle, which is disappointing. He'll be frustrated with that, I think, because he'll know that he left points on the hockey there. There's points he should have had that he left.
The thing is, it comes back to the point we were making that kind of performance, there's no doubt that he's an elite player. But there's so much work to do for a lot of these players in terms of, like we've spoken about before, the brand, that ticking a box being good at darts isn't enough anymore. In the world that we live in, the way people consume content and so on, short form content, they might not tune in to watch the night, but they'll watch clips and so on, that there are a lot of players that need to sort their brand out and do something more. I put Chris in that bracket, that he ticks the box of an elite dart player 100%, the same as Rob Cross ticks that box, but the boxes underneath need work.
And he needs to be careful of other players winning pots that tick some of those boxes. Where
I look at the first semi-final, the first quarter final was a prime example. Brand Littler is one of the biggest brands out there. We see him going and do ballers. We see him doing this. He's out everywhere. I get he's a generational talent, so it's easier. But Stephen Bunting has built the Bunting mental brand over the last 2 years, and that's now coming to the fore, and so on. So there are a lot in this year's Premier League, and the contenders that want to be in next year's Premier League that take a leaf and look not just at darts as well, look at other sports, look what other top sportsmen are doing on their socials and so on, and find your niche and create your brand, make people know who you are outside of the sport. Don't just be consumed within this little bubble of darts. Go out, widen your range, and make people interested in you.
Yeah, because the PDC, I think, are probably already very happy with how darts is appealing to darts fans. Like, the challenge they've got is to bring more people to darts. Like, they're fine with the likes of you and I. They know we'll watch it all. Like, those in the chat room, they know that that we'll watch it. Like, so the PDC are fine with us. They don't need to think too hard about bringing that X factor into the Premier League lineup, because that's not going to make us watch it. So if you have got some sort of following network, anything established outside of darts, where you will bring people who don't currently watch that product that you're going to be involved in the Premier League and convince them to watch it because you're there, you immediately stand head and shoulders above everybody else, even those people that have won a trophy and are holding it, saying, why aren't I getting picked?
Yeah, 100%. And look, I might not like some of it, but that's exactly what Damon Hetter's doing. He's creating a brand outside of it. He's trying to appeal to a wider audience so it gets him noticed, which is what you have to do these days. I'm what I call a casual golf fan. I'll watch the Ryder Cup. I'll watch the Masters.
I thought you meant you watch it in your flip-flops then.
That's probably about my limit. However, because I'm on social media, I see what Bryson DeChambeau is doing and so on and things like that. And normally I just see how he's doing at the Masters or at the Ryder Cup. But because you're seeing stuff on social, you get to see more of them and so on.
Yeah, I've found myself, after not bothering at all for quite a few years, I've found myself watching Grand Prix recently. And it's got probably nothing to do with, tracks, cars, technology, and everything to do with, I couldn't give a fuck, speed of, pit stops, anything like that. And everything to do with the personalities that are involved in seeing different people, seeing British people or a number of British people. The fact that we can see 3 British people on a podium, like those sort of things, have found me just being dragged back towards keeping a loose eye on it. And I'll be an extra figure watching. And if it's happening to me, then it's happening to other people as well. And that's what sports are.
After 16 weeks of these 8 being nice to each other, seeing Hybrex and Edhouse have crosswords and so on at the weekend was absolutely marvellous.
More of that, please. Yeah, if we want a little bit more of that. We have to be reminded every now and again that this is a serious business, a serious sport. It's not just a fuck around. So before we dive into the O2, the table is as follows. Luke Littler, number 1. Luke Humphreys, number 2. Nathan Aspinall, number 3. And Gathering Price, number 4. Number 5, MVG. Hollywood Christobi, number 6. Rob Cross, number 7. And Stephen Bunting was bottom of the pile. So that's that. Before we move on, I'm going to play this short clip from the winner because it just sets up Thursday a little bit nice.
Yeah, obviously, Kezi tonight. What was he? 4-1 up. If he 4-0, 5-1. Yeah, if he won that game, then he would have jumped up to third. Is that a mistake? Because I'm ready. I'm ready for next week. Obviously, he's got the record against me, but it's the O2, and everyone knows I love coming off stage after a break.
I love that. Plant the seed. Was it a mistake?
Yeah, we were good enough to get that on Thursday, weren't we?
I did well, didn't I, for getting you a couple of clips.
Hey, mate, I understand that. These, folks in the chat, they don't know the struggles. Like, I've been now. I've been in those PDC press rooms on a Premier League night, and I understand the challenge that is getting that footage. A, just getting it, and B, getting it then into a way that anyone else can fucking look at it as well, is a challenge. But yeah, It's like it becomes boring. I'll ghostwrite his book if they want one day. We should do that. Let's have a look at that. I just like it's because you say all the time. I just find myself saying the same things a lot, which is not interesting for people. But he just seems to get it right. Like he just seems to get the tone right a lot, and we see so many players misstep with it, and we've seen it a lot. We've seen it a lot in darts, and we've seen it when people have tried to, like we talked about a minute ago, tried to build a bit of relevance and put them. How many times have we seen people who think they're in with a shot of the Premier League, and all of a sudden they start to give it a bit in interviews, but sometimes the timing's off, and it's the wrong thing at the wrong time, and then they sort of miss the right thing, or they do the wrong person. And he just seems to get it right. I have absolutely no idea how much he is influenced by people around him and how much is literally just him. Like
it's him.
And if it is just him, then it's very, very, very impressive, because he demonstrates a maturity way beyond what you should expect somebody to be able to do at that age, and the way he behaves and the outlook he has on things. If he is in any way, guided and influenced, then the people doing it are doing a very good job as well, because it's just impressive, isn't it?
I tell you what, he can't stay away.
Hey, well, lad, you know the link to the back end. You know what it is.
So London is calling. The O2 awaits this Thursday the climax of the 2025 Premier League of Darts. The semi-finals are as follows. Luke Littler takes on Gadwin Price in semi-final number 1. Semi-final number 2 will be Luke Humphreys against Nathan Aspinall. Now, Luke Littler has dominated the league phase, but it will mean nothing if he doesn't get the job done at the O2. Interesting the way the dynamic the Premier League works. It's now all on one night. They mean business.
Yeah. Want predictions?
So, chat room as well. We've seen it for 16 weeks. Week 17, cup collection time. So let's break them down. Semi-final number 1, Gadwin Price against Luke Littler. We know that Gadwin Price is one of the rare players that has a good record against the Nuke. But does it carry on? Does the defence end? Or is it the Nuke into the final? Dan in chat room, what are we saying?
10-7. Littler. Boring, but it's right.
I think it's going to be close, but I'm with you. I think the Nuke wins.
And I'll be fascinated to see what he throws. Because
I think it'll be the same setup as last week.
Because last week meant fucking nothing, did it? Like, that's interesting. Like, last week meant nothing to him at all. So it'll be really fascinating to see what he throws and what he's got in the case on the stage with him. Like, because we know he is perfectly perfectly willing to switch something up mid-leg, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what he throws, interesting to see what else he's got in the box. But he'll win 7.
I think he throws the same setup. The Gen 1, the 45 mil point, 42 mil point, and the new K-Flex. And I think he wins 10-8. I think it'll be close, but I think Littler wins semi-final number 2. Now, this one could be interesting. Nathan Aspinall against cool hand Luke Humphreys. Now, if our predictions are right and Luke Littler awaits in the final, history could be made if Humphreys wins to have a repeat final back-to-back years.
That's what you're getting. You're getting a repeat final because does it go? Yeah, it does. Humphreys is far more consistent. He's playing much better in general. But Aspinall is incredibly resilient and will push him to a deciding leg. 10-9. Humphreys.
I think it'll be wider than that. And I agree. I think Luke Humphreys wins. I think it will be 10-6 to Luke Humphreys. Just based off what I saw at the weekend, those big averages from Humphreys, I think Humphreys wins to set up the world number 1 against the world number 2, the world champion and Premier League champion against the world matchplay champion, all on the line. One of them could join the Triple Crown Club this week.
Yes, we'll be talking about the Triple Crown next week. Or will we? Will we? I don't think so, actually. I don't think we'll be talking about it just yet.
One could be a member of the Triple Crown Club. The other could defend the title. It is the best.
And then put off the Triple Crown for a month or a month and a half.
Oh, yeah, and then the other one will get the shot at the match play.
Exactly. This is it. And then but that's a slightly different Triple Crown because that would be holding them all at once as well.
Well,
which is
that's another one which will come on. Well, potentially, because if Humphreys wins this, then he won't be holding them all.
Exactly.
So
he won't hold them all at once. He'll have won them all, but he won't be holding them all at once. That's an extra special hat. If you can, if you can be wearing that particular crown, Luke will beat Luke in the final. Correct. I did say that it would be a repeat final, and when I say a repeat final, I mean a repeat final because it will be 11-9 to Luke Littler. And it will be a like that's how much of a repeat final it will be.
Are we getting a 9 again?
It will be the same to. Oh, are we getting a 9 again? I mean, it's a bit negative for me to say no, isn't it? Like if I say it, I feel a bit negative. Yeah, 11-9 and a 9 data.
I think the final will all come down to which one of them has their burst at the right time. At one point, they will both go 12-12, 11-11. They will have a burst. Both of them will. We know it's there. It's which one has it at the right time. And I am going for Luke Humphreys to edge Luke Littler in a deciding leg and become only the 4th member of the Triple Crown Club. I think.
It's bold.
Look, it's going to be. Look, whatever happens, it's not going to disappoint because they will both put on spells that we know will be just mesmerizing to watch. There could be a point where they literally just go 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, and so on.
Yeah,
because these two are head and shoulders above the rest.
It would be outrageously rogue if we got a Price Aspinall final.
It would, but also considering those two got the most shit for being picked, it would be quite funny if, for that respect, if they contested the final.
I mean, it would be funny.
The narrative that you could
it's going to be a right balling. Don't forget, we spend 3 months of the year talking about who gets picked for the Premier League. Like sometimes I just want it fucking simplifying, if that's all right. Like it's a lot. It's a lot for us that we spent a long time talking over that one. But yes, there is definitely some poetry in it, isn't there? If they manage to if they manage that, then it would be highly impressive.
It would. So off of the back of this chat room as well, from the last 16 weeks, what have we learnt about the Premier League and the players and so on?
Oh, that's an interestingly worded question. What have we learned? We've learned that the format isn't going to change next year. So if you don't like it, you have to lump it. We have learned that the Premier League continues to be a very challenging prospect for players who aren't used to playing in it. Like what we've seen once again this year, regardless of form coming into the Premier League, and regardless of how players have been playing for the last 9 months, the final four at the end are very well established, regular Premier League players. And I include Luke Littler among that because he's the best player in the world. He's the world champion, and therefore, like he's in that conversation. But what I'm talking about is the more established players that are trying to bridge the gap into the Premier League, and it is really fucking difficult, as has been seen again from Dobie and from Bunting, and Rob Cross has shown if you're not quite there, you will get found out. Like we've seen in previous years, I think Rob Cross was quite lucky this year that he wasn't on his own, because Bunting could have been brilliant every week, and I think that would have really exposed Rob Cross. Yes, we've seen a lot of the same matches. I'm still enjoying it. Like I still enjoy seeing those games. I think it's like, how many times the Rangers and Celtic play each other a year? Like everyone still laps that up, don't they? I'm not sick of it. I'm certainly not bored of it. It's selling out all of the biggest arenas in this country. I think there's one arena with a capacity above 10,000 that isn't booked. Every other arena with a capacity above 10,000 in the country they're using. I think the only one's Bolton.
I think there's two.
Bournemouth?
Exeter and Brighton.
No, what I mean is the ones that where there is an arena with 10,000 seats in it, they're visiting it and selling it out.
Oh yeah. I think that's
I think in Britain there's two arenas they're not utilising, that are of that size, and it's Bolton and Bournemouth, and it's literally because logistically you'd never factor.
No, Bournemouth's small. Bournemouth's tiny.
Is it? Is it not that? Is it not that big? But therefore, like it's performing absolutely fine in it. If you're the PDC, it's selling out. Like let's make an assumption that the numbers are decent, because and I get it, and I never liked it going on the chat room because I genuinely appreciate all of them being here all the time. But what we tend to find is sometimes there's a break between a Monday and a Thursday, like with the same people that come in on the chat room on a Monday and tell us they fucking hate the Premier League and they never watch it, but they're in the fallout on a Thursday night telling us what they thought about. So I think it's got loads of secret watchers. I think there's people who are saying, "Oh, I fucking hate this format. It's shit. We keep seeing the same things all the time." No. But every time Littler and Humphreys play each other, they're like fucking run to the telly, get in and watch it. They're playing again. Quick, come and watch. So I think it's become a bit cool to not like the Premier League. I think that's a fashionable thing or people do it for clout on the socials and things. Like, again, like if you go to a Premier League event, you'll enjoy it, unless you go to Manchester as a punter. Like Manchester's not fucking great, but all the others are very, very good. And if you go as a punter in the venue, it's fucking brilliant. Like really, really good. And you get to see more darts. You get to see your favourite players more than once, potentially, in one night. Like some people, this is the only time they get to go to darts all year. They might live in Aberdeen and they can't travel everywhere else because fucking the darts doesn't come around the country as much as we'd like. Therefore, if they get to see the world number one or the world champion, they see him 2 or 3 times a night, then I think it's a pretty good deal for the punter in the venue. If you've got Sky Sports, you've probably got, I want to say, over 300 channels on your telly as well. People are still watching it. I promise you, people are watching it, because if they weren't, like, it wouldn't exist in the format that it did. They'd shit themselves to change the format. Like, I guarantee you, if people weren't watching it, they'd shit themselves and change the format and go, shit, fuck, what are we going to do? Nobody's watching. Like, people are watching. Everybody's watching.
Okay, I've just put a little poll up so people get involved. God, the Premier League needs to shake up, knock-on effect multiple means. I'm not disagreeing. However, and I completely agree with Dan's take that the Premier League is so unique. It's so different. It's so taxing on body, mind, and soul for 16 weeks. Unless something mad happens this year, I'm not expecting too many changes. Maybe 2 from this 8 don't play next year. At the moment,
yeah. At the moment, I think so. Let's say, let's say that none of them win anything big, then yeah, I think at least 2 don't make it. But again, I think it depends on who else does something, because I think for some of those players trying to bridge the gap, like breaking into the top 10, they've got to get their hands on something, like to really say, like, me now, because I think it's a gamble for the Premier League putting somebody in. We've seen it not work. Like, we've seen it not work putting people into the Premier League. And we've seen it have a long-term effect on players as well. But there are a lot of players outside of the current Premier League that this time next year could put themselves right in the mix, but they need a big back half of the year. Like, Johnny's going to have to, I mean, Johnny could get back in, but he's going to have to fucking do something. He's going to have to lift something up. He's going to have to lift a trophy. I think Damon Hetter's got to lift the trophy or get a 2 semi-finals, I think, gets him in. Ross Smith, I think, has probably got to do something massive, as has Josh Rock. I think those players are players we talked about, but I do think they've got to put their hands on a trophy. James Wade could be in the Premier League next year if he purchased the PDC and booked himself. I'd love to see James Wade in there next year. I'd like to see it. Like, somebody says to me, pick your 8 for next year, James Wade's name is on my 8, 100% next year. I just don't think the PDC think the same way. But I'd put him in because he's fucking chaos. And I like chaos. That's what I want. I want people, like somebody said the other day, like, it was you. I was going to say, somebody said the other day, it was you. Like, finally, after all of the high fives and fist bumping and cuddles, like we see a little bit of something. We see players with a little bit of something. Like, that's why James Wade should be in the Premier League, because he will give it some, and he will entertain me while I watch darts on a Thursday night and give me something to talk about on the Fallout bar.
the other thing I think we learned is I think it's time for a change in terms of cities. I think there are a couple of cities that need rotating, shall we say. They probably won't because the venues sell out, and I understand that. But Aberdeen needs to be looked at because there always seems to be trouble there. They need to, in my opinion, be rested just to make them realise what they've lost. Jay, everyone knows my opinion on Birmingham, but look, I think that would it benefit the Premier League if we could lose 2 nights in the UK and have one in Belgium, one in Poland? I'm just using those. Certainly Belgium. Even if we lost one night in the UK for a Premier League night in Belgium, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I would happily lose at least 2. I would happily lose a couple in the UK in order to facilitate a more European Premier League. I think that the Premier League is certainly big enough. I think there are a number of options where you could comfortably sell that out because of the format and because of the names that would be in it. You would piss selling out a really big venue. And I think it would become a big, you could establish it as something big in the calendar. Like, it's not always fucking great, but, when they go over to Holland, it's a very impressive arena. The crowd do a good job of dressing up in football colours and breaking all the rules. Manchester 100% needs to be moved to the Co-op Live. 100%. Primarily because I have use of a box there. So if we could get that sorted, that would be perfect. That would be ideal.
Again, far-fetched, and I appreciate it'd be difficult, and it wouldn't happen for this reason. But a Premier League night outside Europe as well. I understand logistically that is a nightmare and everything like that. I fully understand that. But a Premier League night outside Europe would be incredible.
Do you mean East or West?
Not fast.
I think you got 5 hour swing either way. You could either go to New York or you could go to the Emirates. I know where you're probably more likely to get decent money. I know where you're more likely to get decent money.
If you go to the Middle East, you probably get better money in Dubai.
Won't feel like a Premier League night though, believe you me.
No, a Premier League night in Philly or something like that. Look, I know it's easy for us to put all these wonderful ideas out there, and that there is cost attached to it and so on. I fully understand that, but the travelling road show, as it's been labelled and so on, how good would it be if we could have a night outside of Europe or whatever?
I think you have to make it your finals night. It's the only way the logistics would work, because then you haven't got to fucking worry about getting everybody back on a like rapido. You get everybody out extra quick straight after the Thursday before. Everybody travels on the Friday. I think that's the way you do it. Is you do your finals night, and you do your race to Dubai equivalent. That's what you can, you can brand it as such. You don't have to be Dubai. I'm just pulling from another sport. But your Premier League night, you can go to MSG, you can go to Vegas. I genuinely think if you're going to build to the problem I think you've got with doing the finals night there, this is the challenge, is if you sell a Premier League night abroad, you've got 8 of the world's best players to sell. And you've got that format, that tournament, of quarterfinals, then semi-finals, then a final. You haven't got that if you do it on a finals night. I'm not sure if that makes it easier or harder. Probably makes it harder to sell the tickets because you're only selling for 3 games.
I was asked this question on one of the streams at the weekend, Dan. I'm going to fire it to you as well here about darts in a big stadium, right? And I said, I don't think you could do it right now with just one stage. I don't think that works. However, could you imagine an old UK Open type setup at Wembley Stadium where you've got 3 or 4 different stages going on and
I mean,
and
yes. So on. The problem is these fuckers start to moan when somebody props a door open. Imagine when you have to take the fucking roof off. Like, Jesus, like these lads, like somebody leaves a door propped open and these fuckers are walking off stage. You try and do it without a roof on. Jesus, man. You like, can you imagine the complaints? So in short, like, yes, but I want to see it like it'd have to be indoors. It'd have to be indoors. So then what you'd have to look at is could you perhaps do something in somewhere like a Wembley Arena on the floor where you divide it up? Because again, you're speaking to me who I still think the greatest day of the year as a darts fan is day 1 of the UK Open. Like day 1 of the UK Open, multi-boardroom, is the best day of darts on the annual calendar, bar none. It's the very best as a fan. Like, because, and if you're there moving around, seeing all those different darts like being played, I think it's what you want in a big environment. That could be mint if you like did that on steroids with all the top players playing in there.
Bear with me here. I've got a plan. I've gone bold. I've gone brash.
You just closed the roof at Wembley. That's all you've done.
Close. I've closed the roof at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to Spurs, so well done for making it like multinational.
We're going to Cardiff with the roof shut. We're going to go 256 players across 4 different stages on the arena floor.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. And what I want that to be as well, is I want it to be part of what can only be described as a festival.
Correct.
Of darts. Like, and I am found, and so I find this when I go to Minehead, I often find myself thinking, well, there's a big list of things I think we could add. Like, we could do this, we could do this. I do exactly the same when we go to the Worlds. I do it, I tell you, every year when we're in the Winter Gardens, I think, I'd have one of them in there and I'd put that, and I'd see what I'd do in that fucking room. I'd do this and I'd do like, and I think, yeah, it just gives you so much more. You know, the levels of additional things you could put on for people there in terms of people being able to access and meet players, former players, the non-darting entertainment that you could put on in terms of, you know, Q&A things, and all you could do fucking all sorts with that amount of space and people.
Correct.
And then stick a band on afterwards.
I know it's bold and it might not, but yeah, 256 Millennium Stadium roof shut across 4 or 5 different stages that are set up.
Get it booked. You get in touch with them tomorrow, Phil. The online darts
Festival of Darts
or Festival Open.
But you can have a JDC stage. You can have and so on. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
You know, like at Glastonbury where you have the new music tent, the Stars of the Future stage,
live band walk-ons.
No, because that means we'd have to have Dirks live, and I couldn't be doing with that.
Selective live band walk-ons. And also, if we're running it, is walk-ons fucking banned anyway? That's on my rider before I get there. Like, I've fucking deleted that off the playlist. I've got the passwords.
But yeah, look, it's a pipe dream. Could it happen one day? I hope so. Is the thing. I think it would be incredible if we could do something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Also, I've got a clip here to play. It's an interesting one, and again, I hope this is the right clip because I haven't labelled it up. So we'll play it and then we'll see.
I don't know. I said a discussion. You can get me here. I know you do it. I personally think it should be optional.
No, wrong one. We've done that.
We did that last week.
Let me try and find the other one. It's the other Joe clip that I wanted.
He's good for a clip, is Joe. Gives us plenty to talk about.
Yeah, here it is. Found it. Let's just load this up a second. It's still going to be Joe, everyone, but just we've done that.
Saying something different this time.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, he's got a point, and obviously with the World Cup coming up as well, it's quite topical. Which will be good. Just loading now, but yeah, look, I'd like to see the sport grow and flourish, and look, the PDC. You can't knock them. The job they've done growing the sport has been incredible. But now it's time. Can we go to the next level? How do we get to the next level? And so on. It's almost loaded. It's my fault for loading the wrong clip.
I thought I was waiting for you to click it. I didn't know you were loading it up.
I loaded the wrong clip in. So that's my fault, chat room. Once it's loaded, I'm going to get another poll up in to see what you guys think of Joe's point as well, just to see. That's one thing I do like, Joe, that he's not afraid to upset the apple cart to deliver his opinion, which is what I like, which is what more players to be like that. Is the thing. Why is it? Whenever you don't want something, like it's always like instantly. And when you're waiting for something, it seems to take forever.
Yes, 10 clicks away from perfect. Love that.
Well, you know.
Love that. That's how we roll at Online Darts. We're 10 clicks away from perfect.
But to be fair, that's Dan's seen the way I label stuff up. It's not the best at times, is it?
Oh, Jesus. Like, I honestly had sleepless nights. I had to use Phil's laptop once, and there was in excess of 50 tabs open at once, and he doesn't title files. Anything, no files. Nothing is in a folder. Like, no files are in a folder. No files are titled. Like, it genuinely brought me out in a cold sweat. Like, I started to just like organize. I was literally sending.
That I knew what every one of those tabs were, though.
Oh, but I mean, it's highly impressive. Yeah, highly impressive.
Right.
But terrifying.
Right. Here's Joe's clip.
Yeah. I think it was clear to see last year. I think the PDC acknowledged it. I think whether they wanted to or not, there was an elephant in the room. I think was it sort of 8 or 9 of the top 16 didn't qualify.
Yeah, the list was endless.
It was just crazy, and I think they knew then that they had to look at the criteria a little bit. But again, it's one of those. I think it sort of lost its sort of appeal when the BDO players stopped playing, because that was originally
It was the cross-code tournament. It's lost its identity.
Yeah, identity. That was the word I was looking for. But yeah, I think obviously when it went to a ranking tournament, that was when it started to. I think people started to more look at the Tri-2 because it's a ranking tournament, yet so many unranked events get you in it. I think I've heard a few things about the Premier League. Or should they really be? I'm like, well, Premier League, they're going to be in it anyway, aren't they? It's going to be the sort of top 4, top 8 in the world, whatever it be. They'll be in it regardless. So, not a big fan of the World Cup, especially the runners-up getting in. Obviously, Johnny's one of my best friends, and he's benefited from it before. I don't agree with it. Scarce to say that I don't think the winners should be in, with it being a pairs event. But that's what it is. It's a great opportunity for somebody, especially if sort of an unknown can get a nice run to the final.
Fucking not even the winners. He's got fucking ruthless, isn't he? Love it.
What do you think? Do you agree? Because it is a pairs tournament, it's non-ranked. Should the winners and the runners-up get a spot in the Grand Slam, which is a ranked tournament?
I mean, the problem is the Grand Slam isn't the Grand Slam anymore, is it? And this is
we know it's changing next year. This is more like for this year's purposes. We know it's changing next year. We don't know what, but we know there are changes to the Grand Slam for next year. But
see, for me, more the merrier. For me, because you know what, you've still had to do something. I just think, get them in. Because why would we not want? It's nice to get some rogue people in, to tournaments like that. It's an interesting format, and we like to bring them from all over the place. I have no real issue with it. If you win some at non-ranked, but you get in there. I mean, the only thing that I think is probably tenuous is the World Series. World Cup, I think, is fine.
I've got no issue with the World Cup winners being in, but I actually agree with Joe. I don't think the runners-up of the World Cup should be in.
I think it's fine.
I've seen over the years too many times that the pair that get there, that they come off stage and go, right, we're in the Grand Slam now, we don't care about the final.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's got more to do with the World Cup than it has to do with the Grand Slam. Make the World Cup mean more if that's the case, rather than the Grand Slam. The World Cup, I mean, yes, it's not ranked, but it's not ranked for a particular reason, is it? And you have to qualify for it through ranking. Through ranking points, which is why the teams are the way they are. The reason that the players are playing for their teams is obviously because they've earned the right to do so through the ranking system. And if you want to play in the World Cup and give yourself an opportunity to play in the Grand Slam, then you have to win enough ranking points to get on your country's team. So whilst it isn't a ranking event, there is a route to it by being ranked. The difficulty with most of these things, anyways, beyond that, once you're looking at the Premier League and the other stuff, and let's be honest, the World Series and stuff things. Well, when are people going to make the finals of them and not be in with a slam spot anyway, because of everything else that they've done over the course of the year? Very rare. Very, very rare.
Yeah, it's interesting. To be fair, Joe, I agree with Joe on this one, and I think he had his point very, very well. If I'm being honest, that I'm not a fan. And someone said sorry, I can't remember who it was. Marcus, I don't agree with the runner-up of the World Youth getting a Grand Slam spot either. and so on. That I'll be interested to see what the change or what all the changes are for next year's Grand Slam. We know it's going to 48 players and so on. I'll be interested to see how that all works and the criteria, where they're bringing the players from and so on.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give, I don't know, if you win the Pro Tour, you should be in, shouldn't you?
Well, a Pro Tour?
Oh, if you rank first on it.
Oh, is that because, Dobie missed out last year, didn't he? And he was ranked 1 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, what did he win? 3-4 Pro Tours and didn't get in? There were so many of the top. I might be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if the top 16 were guaranteed picks.
Yes, I think that's a bank. I mean, yeah, of course.
It wouldn't surprise me if the top 16 were.
That won't make the news, will it?
No, it's the way that everything else has gone, that the top 16 are in stuff and so on. So, I can see the top 16 being automatically in, which will be funny for people once again. Time is obviously running out for the World Match Play. This is going to be a kind of a constant theme, especially looking after a European tour and so on. That, again, Michael Smith, although he played well, didn't make any inroads to that gap. Look, the Winter Gardens is getting closer and closer. Time is running out for players to be at the hallowed Winter Gardens.
Time is properly running out now. I seem to think it was a few weeks ago, wasn't it, that I wasn't being dismissive, but I kept saying there's plenty of other opportunities. There's plenty of other opportunities. We are slowly but surely running out of opportunities. I think so. What have we got? We're down to 2 Euro tours now.
2 Euro tours and 5 Pro Tours, 7 events.
Have we got 5 Pro Tours? Or
apparently, the Wikipedia page is wrong. Apparently, 2 were moved.
Right. So the ones in Hildesheim are still counting to what? Like they are within the scope, are they?
Yeah, apparently. So I haven't got a new, because the Wikipedia. Wait a minute. Let's go to the PDC.
Where's my calendar? I've got the calendar on my phone, but my phone's lighting up tonight because of.
It's annoying when the Wikipedia page is wrong. Right, so in June, so we've got a European Tour event starting this weekend. So ET8 counts. We then have got Players' Championship 17, 18, and 19, 17th to the 19th. They've married that up brilliantly. 17th of June to the 19th is 17th, 18th, and 19th as well in Leicester. Then we have got in July, Players' Championship 20 and 21 from Leicester on the 8th and 9th. And then we have got ET9 from Kiel, the 11th and 13th of July, which is your cut-off. ET9.
Right, okay. It is narrowing, isn't it?
Yes.
It is narrowing. So, well, we did see a move over the weekend, didn't we? We saw Christoph Ratajski move out of the green and Ricardo Petrescu not only jump him when he displaced him, but nipped ahead of Ryan Joyce as well.
Ryan Joyce is in a bit of bother.
He is now winning in that opening round. Like, yes, he's still in a bit of bother, but he has put further distance between himself and the chasing pack. Even though Petrescu's jumped him, the gap between him and those chasing is slightly wider. But yes, he is right on the edge. And we've seen very good performances from William O'Connor, from Richie Edhouse. We know that Michael Smith is Michael Smith. These lads will come and try and take that spot. I'm still not sure. I still think that there's a lot of work to do. The early rounds of the Pro Tours pay very little and do very little in terms of moving this around. This will happen on a Euro Tour or a Rogue winner. I think a lot of them will be resting fairly easily.
I think Barney's 90% there.
The problem I have with Barney is I'm not sure. I think he produces more than Ricardo Petresco does in those events that are coming up, and there's only 500 quid between them. And therefore that just, that worries me slightly about Barney, I think more so than some of the others. I'm just having a quick look at who is in the next Euro Tour, 30th of May, to see who in that chasing pack is there. And do you know what? There's a lot of those names missing. Obviously, Ryan Joyce is there. Michael Smith is there. Richie Edhouse is there. Barney and Watamina are there, as is Gurney.
The other thing as well is I saw on Twitter today, I don't know, there are definitely two pulling or pulled out, because I think I saw that Mike De Decker and Michael Smith maybe have jumped up to seeds. So I don't know who's on the reserve list.
Right. Yeah, so Michael Van Gerwen's not playing, is he? Do we assume?
I would presume not.
That's this weekend. And I can't remember the wording of the message, but
for foreseeable tournaments.
Yeah, he's not coming out of the weekend, is he?
No.
I would be stunned if the winner of the Premier League was there. Legitimately stunned if the winner of the Premier League.
I think already they know of two. That list could go up depending on the Premier League. So I don't know who's on the.
Well, let's work on the assumption that William O'Connor got brought in as an alternative this weekend and won a few games. So must be like that. Surely Willie O'Connor's got to put himself there. He must be the first reserve.
William O'Connor is first reserve. If that's the case, William O'Connor is in.
Which again, William O'Connor, Richie Edhouse, Michael Smith. They have created themselves an opportunity there. Niels Onneveld as well is just outside. Niels is just outside the green also. He's at there, but we are missing Christoph Ratajski, Martin Lukman, Kevin Dukes, I believe, this weekend. All three of which could see themselves they've already got an uphill battle. But all three of them could slip away from contention with this Euro Tour.
James, yes, those Pro Tours were moved, but they were moved about 3 months ago. So it's not a recent move. So again, going back to that point as well, the draw is going to be interesting for those players as well. For argument's sake, Raymond van Barneveld getting Nico Springer on Friday would be an absolute disaster.
Oh, it certainly would. And this is why, we'll see what the draws bring, but it's going to be interesting. I think it could throw up some really, really good, really good first round matches, I think.
But the other thing that we were saying at the weekend, and I can't remember if we spoke about this last week or not as well, but currently Josh Rock is only a final, as in a Pro Tour final or 2 good runs on the Euro Tour away from getting to Danny Noppert potentially. Now, if you're Josh Rock, do you want to be in spot 16?
No.
or are you happy in 17th? Then I'm going to skip a couple of results. I'm going to skip a couple of events here.
Yep, I'm all right. I'm all right, thanks. Just have a weekend at home. Busy. Stomach. Dicky belly. Sorry, lads, didn't make it. I don't know, I think Josh is a proper competitor.
He is, I get that. But however, do you want to run into Luke Humphreys in round 2? I get you could put him in round 1. I understand that. But you could also get
Peter Wright.
Dave Chisnell.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Either of those. Either of those will do. Yeah.
Or you could get Danny Noppert, and then you could be in that same situation anyway. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You have the. Yeah, I suppose you have a wider option instead of absolutely knowing that you're fucking up against it, don't you? And you create yourself an opportunity to play yourself through the tournament a little bit. I really like it though. I look at the current 32 as it stands now. And let's say that worst case scenario, sort of doesn't really make fuck all difference. But let's say 2 of those change. Let's say 30 of the 32 stay the same. I really like the look of that match play tournament. I really like the look of it. I think that the players, the mixture of players on both sides of it, the fact that you've arguably got players in better form on one side than the other, and it's not the side it should be in certain aspects. You'll probably be able to pick 6 to 8 of the players that have come through the Pro Tour Order of Merit and rank them in terms of form. We're ahead of 6 to 8 players that have come through the bigger Order of Merit, which I think makes for some really, really interesting games. It's no secret how much I love the match play. It's the best tournament. It's the best venue. It's the best event. It's the best week of the year if you're a darts fan. And we'll be there, which is quite good. This year, again, I'm going to go all week, I think. So I think it looks mint. I think the draw, as it looks now, really, really, really exciting. And we could see that become even better because we could see an extra couple of interesting additions over the coming weeks.
Yeah, and look, would the match play be better if Michael Smith was there? 100%. But he has work to do, as we said earlier. That it's not a guarantee. But would the tournament be better with a bit of shut up and dance with me blaring out? Yes, it would.
There are, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Considering I'm going to be there all week, I am just now looking at positions 17 through 23, 24, and thinking, well, which is the walk-on that I really want to see? Which walk-on do I want to see in Blackpool this year? Where does it make me? Who do I want to come through then? Probably gonna have to be William O'Connor. I would have thought. That's the if I'm picking on walk-ons from the chasing pack. There's my that's where I'd like to see in Blackpool.
Bit of zombie.
Let's see the Cranberries. Let's get them busy.
Right, I've got starred Dell's question from earlier on, and we've got time to get it. He's put unusual question. I've been watching darts since the late 70s, but I have no idea how they did the ranking systems or seedings back then. Do you guys have any ideas? I'm guessing, I don't know this because obviously I wasn't born either. I'm guessing it was done on a point system where you get X amount of points for winning the tournament, X for runner-up, and so on. And I would guess, I don't know because I wasn't around, but ever since I've been watching darts, and that's obviously BDO and then onto PDC and so on, it was a point system, then onto the money list that it is now in the PDC.
Yeah, I'm just yeah. So I was just trying to do a bit of research to try and like pull it. I wasn't watching darts in the 70s. I just simply wasn't born. But yeah, I mean, it seems like certainly in the 70s it was like rudimentary at best and largely non-existent. I think the first BDO World Championship was 78, and that was invites, largely by reputation or recent tournament successes, that just people they wanted to build that world championship with. We've seen that happen, plenty of times. I think it was, fairly informal, reputation based, not particularly transparent. We've seen these accusations thrown around even fairly recently, but I don't think it was particularly transparent. I think, and I also think that obviously what they did draw upon slightly when I talk about reputation and people winning certain things is they did have the county structure at the time, which again, whilst it didn't look like it does now, I think they used the county structure to pick who they thought should be at their, the bigger tournaments.
Warren says, thoughts on the seniors champion of champions announcement at Modus. I think it's great. We've got a seniors tournament in the calendar to look forward to. I know, look, I understand that some people weren't happy with it, but we've got some more seniors darts, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. What's my view? Yeah, like summed up in a couple of sentences. I am very, very happy that seniors darts continues to exist. I really, really, really love seniors darts. And I want it to continue to exist. Am I a little frustrated that we're not seeing a big event in a bigger venue? Yeah. I'm frustrated about loads of things in life. It just is what it is. Like, yeah, I would, yeah, it would be amazing. I would quite fancied, another trip to a big venue to see lots of people over the course of a couple of days, and watch some seniors darts. Unfortunately, that's not to be, but we have still got some seniors darts. It's just a fucking long way from me. Fucking long way. Like, yeah. I'm thinking of going down. I am thinking of going down, but God, it's a long way. It's about as far away as it can be. Like about France. Like, I'd have to drive to France.
Well, we could go to deepest, darkest Cornwall.
Yeah, I mean that's what they'd have to do. I think they'd have to put me right onto onto the edge of the country. But no, again, like I'm really buzzing that it's continuing to exist. Yeah. Do I want to see it bigger and better? Of course, but we want everything to be bigger and better, don't we? Like sometimes it just doesn't make practical sense to do so. It doesn't make practical sense often or commercial sense, and yeah, it's really good to be on the as a punter and say I want it and I want this, but you need somebody to take the risk on it and fund it and everything else, and like that I bet is a very challenging thing to do. So yeah, it's sort of good and I'm not going to say good and bad, but like good and sad. That's a better one. Like It's like I'm pleased that it exists, but I wish that we got a bit more where it looked more like a event that we used to.
So get any questions, fire them in chat room. We've got 5 minutes or so for a bit of question time, which is always good. Like a bit of question time. So get them in. Dan was a nervous wreck yesterday watching the football.
Oh, was I felt sick. It was the worst day of football watching probably since we got relegated. I think I think the relegation under Shearer, that was the last time I felt like I did yesterday. I felt absolutely sick all afternoon.
Yeah, Bob, I didn't see any of the China Pro Tour. If I'm being honest, it's the timings just don't work for me. Is the thing, Mark? I don't know. I've got no idea. We will get some information on the seniors' socials soon. But yeah, I'm not sure. 3 different winners. Zong was one of them. Nice. Yeah, I like Zong. I think he's a really good player. Do you think Springer makes a Premier event quarter-final this year? Oh, good question. Do I?
You have to be in him first.
I was about to say.
That's the problem. He's not going to be in enough of them, I don't think, to give himself.
Not going to be in the match play. How close? The Grand Prix, he's still got work to do. Unlikely to be in the Grand Prix. I'm presuming. Is he in the players?
I don't think he is in the players.
Yeah, he's 56 at the moment.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, found him.
Temporarily, he's in Minehead. I tell you what, the European Championships might be a shout for him.
Yeah.
Would I be? Yeah. Would I be surprised? No. He has the ability to, James, but the only downfall is going to be how many of the TV tournaments he's in.
And how many of the big boys he's going to have to play, because when he gets into them, he's not going to be, like we talked about, he's going to bump into seeds, and he's going to bump into seeds fairly quickly. So he's going to have to, it's him making a quarterfinal isn't going to be like it's going to be for some other people. Like he's going to have to be on it and beat some very big players.
Yeah. David, it will never happen, but Q School should. I don't think Q School should be scrapped, David. I think it needs to be altered, and I fully agree with you. The Challenge Tour Order of Merit should mean more, and so on. Yep. I still think there needs to be a Q School to get on the Challenge Tour. So, I agree with some of your points, and maybe hybrid, like a hybrid version of it, so on.
Yeah, I think it needs work, but we love Q School, because it's bananas. But it does need the system needs work. You have to reward more. I think people who've played on those affiliated tours all year and played very well and demonstrated that they're playing at a level that is beyond that of those losing their tour cards. And you've got to reward that, but you have to keep some of the chaos because tasty.
I watched the final at home. I had a couple of mates around to watch it. I couldn't be going out to watch Spurs in a final. Far too stressful.
Yeah, I mean, stressful games are to be done in the comfort of your own home, aren't they? Like I sat in a darkened room and watched that game against Everton yesterday.
Yeah, there was no way I was going out socialising with the general public with Spurs in a final.
No, quite right.
Will Dimmy return before the World Cup? I'd like to see Dimitri play before the World Cup, yes. But whether we do or not is another question. But I would like it to. Connor. Michael will be back when he's ready. Tonight's been flown by.
Yeah,
absolutely flown.
Bloody hell! There we go. 2 hours. 10 o'clock.
You guys have been incredible. This evening, I went to the City Ground yesterday. Horrible. Yeah, nothing worse than a big game that doesn't go your way. Yeah, terrible. How far do you think Michael Smith will fall? I think he's fallen as far as he's going to. I think he's stopped and he's now going back that way.
I was going to say he's currently 20th in the world. But again, the problem with that, when you say that, is like the next couple behind him. Like if you put Dimitri to one side, like Mike De Decker and Jan van Veen are the 2 players behind him. Both arguably could do more, So we think, well, as he bottomed out, well, potentially not. He maybe needs other people to fucking crash and burn in order to in order to drop beneath him, rather than because, like I say, I still think there's a chasing pack behind Michael Smith that will probably do more than he does ranking-wise between now and Christmas.
To be fair, I've just looked, Rob. By the look of it, we will not see Dimitri Vandenberg before the World Cup. Not sure on that now. I said I hope so, but I didn't look. No, the next batch of Pro Tours are after. Ooh, that's brave going into a World Cup, not having played for months. Look,
Brave's one word for it. Fucking stupid is another one.
I get you can practice at home, but as Chris Mason once said to me, and it's a phrase I've never ever forgotten, you can't practice shitting yourself.
It's quite right, that.
Yeah, it's such a good saying. Everyone, thank you very, very much for your support this evening. It has been a really good show. I've enjoyed every minute of this evening. This will be available as an audio only in the morning, so you can check it out on all good podcast providers. And I promise, now the Premier League is done after this week, we will have more structure in terms of organising guests, because I don't think people realise that the Premier League, it takes, although it's only one day, it effectively takes 3 days of the week. So, and then going straight into Euro Tour stream, it's a nightmare. So now it's done. I promise we will get up and running properly with the guests. Spoken to a couple that are going to come on. Obviously, it was bank holiday this weekend as well, and people were travelling back from Euro Tours and so on. But we will have some good guests lined up as always. But thank you very much. If you haven't yet, make sure you tap that subscribe button and drop us a like as well. We are available on all social media platforms, so you will find us on one of them. But I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. It has been the Online Darts Live Lounge this evening, and we'll see you all very, very soon.